Mazuma TV back in the building, man. What's going on, y'all? Shout out to Mazuma Nation. Shout out to the Mazuma Mob. We in the building, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day. I'm not on my way to go get it right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm back at the crib chilling with the family, with my son and stuff like that. But I had to get in one of these quiet rooms real quick so I could continuously provide you guys the best content possible. On the road to 2K, we cracked the 1200 mark and well on our way to 1300. So shout out to the nation, shout out to the mob for making this possible. Now, what I really want to get into is the uh pretty much an extension of the conversation that we had on my live last night. If y'all did not see it, go ahead and go check it out, man. My lives are lit, man. Very informational, and just brings a different perspective and an objective perspective to the table as well, man. So if y'all like knowledgeable boxing talk, man, go check in on these lives that I go on live around usually 11:30 p.m. You know what I mean, Eastern Standard Time. If that's too late, I apologize. I'll try to get some early morning shows, but for the most part, that's the time that we go on. And if y'all guys want to check that out, man, feel free. Now let's talk about Shakur Stevenson. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, if you guys didn't check out his fight on Thursday night, it was an extremely lackluster performance from Shakur Stevenson. And unlike a lot of channels, I'm also holding Edwin de los Santos accountable because, in all honesty, he could have made some adjustments himself to make the fight more exciting. But because Shakur Stevenson was the A side, a lot more is expected out of Shakur Stevenson and him being the favorite. He's taking the majority of the criticism. You know what I mean? And that just so happens to be what comes with the game when you're a top caliber talent. You know what I'm saying? Like when LeBron James goes on the floor and his team gets blown out, they're not going to blame one of the role players on the team. They're going to blame LeBron James because he's the star of the team. And being that Shakur is one of the promising stars coming up in the boxing world right now, a lot more on his shoulders than the average boxer. You know what I mean? So that just comes with the game, and that's just something he would have to deal with. There's nothing that's really going to change about that. Now, because of this performance that he had and all the criticism he's taken, his stock did drop. Now the amount in which it dropped, that's up for discussion. In all honesty, I think it dropped a little bit because I think one good performance, if he puts on one good performance, if he puts on a great performance in his next fight, a lot of people are going to forget this fight against Edwin de los Santos because boxing fans are fickle like that if we're being realistic. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of the situation when it comes to boxing fans. One day they hate you, you put on a great performance. The next day, the next performance, they love you. You know what I mean? That's just how the game goes, unfortunately. And I see why a lot of these boxers are talking about how the media is fake and why they don't really rock with certain outlets because they're fickle. You know, that's just what happens. You know what I mean? So, um, in all honesty, Shakur Stevenson should consider his next fight his road to redemption because he has to get these boxing fans on the right page with him once again. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm noticing with Shakur Stevenson, in all honesty, is that when he goes up against big, explosive type punchers, that style, he seems to be very defensive minded. You know what I mean? And Shakur Stevenson, he always had a great defense. Let's not get that misconstrued at all. Or I'm not making it seem like Shakur Stevenson gets reckless against certain guys, but he's definitely more trigger happy when he goes up against guys who aren't big punchers like Jamel Herring and even that last fight against Yoshino. And Valdez is a solid puncher, but he's not the biggest puncher. You know what I'm saying? So he was a lot more trigger happy with these guys than he was when he fought like Jeremiah Nakatila. He was very, very cautious in that fight. Didn't really want to take any chances and was extremely mobile. And Edwin de los Santos, it was pretty much the same thing. I think that against Nakatila, he did take a little bit more chances. Edwin de los Santos, he was very reluctant to let his hands go, very gun shy, hesitant for some reason. You know what I mean? So, in all honesty, I think the only way that Shakur Stevenson could truly redeem himself is if he goes up against a similar style. You know what I mean? He would have to go up against an explosive, powerful puncher and actually see if this was an injury that made him perform in this fashion, or is it just that type of style he just doesn't want to take chances against? Because if that's the case, a lot of people aren't gonna want to see him fight somebody like Gervonta Davis. You know what I mean? Because Gervonta Davis is one of the biggest punchers in boxing. Fuck the weight class. He's one of the biggest punchers in the sport of boxing. Knockout ratio through the roof. You know what I mean? You know, he comes and he goes for one thing. He wants to hurt you. And if Shakur Stevenson is aware, I'm sure he's very aware of the power that Gervonta Davis possesses. And if the boxing fans are aware of the approach that he takes against big punchers, they know that he's not going to put on an exciting fight against Gervonta Davis. So they may not want to pay to see that fight because they might know the approach that Shakur Stevenson's taking. So in all honesty, man, I don't know exactly who Shakur Stevenson's next opponent is going to be, whether it's going to be a voluntary defense or he's going to have to go through the WBC rankings. But for sure, as a matter of fact, let's go through the WBC rankings now that Shakur Stevenson is a WBC lightweight champion of the world. And congratulations to Shakur Stevenson. Although it wasn't a great victory, you're 26 years old and you're a 3-division world champion. So that's incredible. That's an incredible feature. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that can't say that they're able to do that. There's a lot of people that can't say they can win a world title. So if you could win 4 world titles in 3 divisions, that's impressive. You know what I mean? So shout out to him for that. I guess that's the main positive that he was able to get out of this one. So let's just assume that none of these big name guys like Devin Haney or Gervonta Davis are going to fight Shakur next. I'm sure he's going to have to go through the WBC rankings to see who will fight him for that world title. You know what I mean? So let's just take a look at the rankings right here. And according to these rankings, I'm sure it hasn't really been updated to like what's currently going on, because as of right now, they got Devin Haney champion in recess. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure they still consider him the champion in recess, but as of right now, Shakur Stevenson is no longer number 1. He is the WBC world champion. Now let's look at these other guys that are on this list. And let's just be as realistic as possible. You know what I mean? Frank Martin, considered number 2. You know what I mean? And if anybody understands the history between Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson, that was supposed to be the initial fight. After the Devin Haney negotiations fell through, that's who Shakur Stevenson was supposed to face next. Initially, Frank Martin had accepted the fight. Then within a few days, he had turned it down. You know what I mean? So can this fight be realistic coming into this one now that Shakur has the legitimate world title? That's possible. I don't know if Frank Martin has anything in particular coming up. I think they're still waiting for this whole deal with PBC to get situated and go on to an actual platform or whatever, sign with a major platform or whatever. But let's just put that to the side right now as possible. Third, Vasily Lomachenko. From what I understand and from what I heard from rumors, Vasily Lomachenko is supposed to be facing George Kambosos next. You know what I'm saying? I don't know exactly if that's true or not, but that's something that I heard Kambosos speak on a couple times, and he making it seem like that fight is actually realistic. So let's just put Vasily Lomachenko to the side as well and not really consider that, because if he's actually facing Kambosos, and Kambosos is also number 10 on this list, so we could just put both of them to the side because most likely they'll be fighting each other. They both under top rank. Bob Arum loves his in-house fights, so it's not far-fetched, and it actually seems extremely realistic at this point. So let's continue. Isaac Cruz, number 4. You know what I'm saying? This is a fight that I would actually like to see Shakur Stevenson face because, like I said, on his road to redemption, I think he needs to go up against somebody who's actually explosive and powerful and see if he's able to hold his own against one of these guys and not resort to a very cautious approach. You know what I'm saying? And I think Isaac Cruz is the exact guy that he'll need to really put these rumors to rest that he's fearful of powerful punchers. Isaac Cruz is an extremely powerful puncher. Undersized for lightweight in all honesty, but he could hold his own and is able to beat a majority of guys because of how aggressive he is, how big of a puncher he is, and how he consistently puts pressure throughout the entire course of a fight. He's definitely game. So that fight may be realistic. Isaac Cruz has turned it down in the past, but that fight is realistic. So as of right now, Frank Martin and Isaac Cruz, who are both PBC fighters, are realistic at this point. Moving on. Number 5, William Cepeda. William Cepeda, from what I understand, Oscar De La Hoya said that he wanted William Cepeda to be a little bit more, known amongst boxing fans before he took that chance against Shakur Stevenson. So they didn't look like they were trying to pursue that fight when Shakur Stevenson had been calling him out on social media. But like I said, now that Shakur Stevenson actually has a belt in the weight class, I think Oscar De La Hoya may be more willing to make this fight happen now. You know what I'm saying? He was speaking on wanting to work with other promoters. So let's see if he actually does that. So that's actually a possible fight as well. And that's a good fight for Shakur Stevenson to bounce back from. You know what I mean? Cepeda has a lot of momentum on his side. He's spoken about and he's put on some good performances, especially in his last bout. So let's put that as possible. So Frank Martin, Isaac Cruz, William Cepeda, they're possible. You know what I'm saying? They're possible. Moving on, number 6, Edwin De Los Santos. We already know that was the fight he just had. That really wasn't that impressive. Jermaine Ortiz. This is the fight that I actually said will be the most realistic one to make, considering the fact that Jermaine Ortiz has been calling out Shakur Stevenson through consistently on social media throughout these past couple months, ever since he had jumped into the lightweight division, and he doesn't have anything really going on right now. From what I understand, Jermaine Ortiz doesn't have any fight dates right now, as far as I'm concerned. So I think that's the most probable one, and I think that Jermaine. Well, I don't know. I don't think I know that he had a real competitive fight with Vasyl Lomachenko, so they could definitely sell that fight a little bit as a guy who a lot of people believe beat Vasyl Lomachenko. I'm not gonna say a lot, but there was some people out here that believe Jermaine Ortiz did enough to beat Vasyl Lomachenko, so they could sell it as the guy who was very close to beating Vasyl Lomachenko, getting a shot against Shakur Stevenson, who's a WBC champion. They could sell that. You know what I mean? Number 8, Yoshino. I believe Shakur Stevenson beat him, stopped him in his lightweight debut. Number 9, and after this we gonna cut. We're not even gonna talk about the other guys. But Raymond Mortatalia. Now this is a very talented guy out of Robert Garcia's gym, and he had a good performance against Nakatila. You know what I'm saying? I think that was Nakatila that he had the one that Shakur Stevenson was real hesitant against. Raymond Mortatalia, I think, stopped him, and it was a beautiful performance, man. But I don't know if they're gonna throw him straight into a world title fight at this point. Robert Garcia is confident in his fighter. He knows that he could compete at a world class level, but I don't know if they really gonna pull the trigger and jump straight into a Shakur Stevenson fight right away. I think they're still in the process of molding him. That's just my personal opinion, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were to make that fight happen. You know what I mean? Like I said, Robert Garcia is very confident in his stable of guys like Ben Rodriguez and when Mikey was active, of course. So I'm sure he'll do something with Raymond Mortatalia eventually, but I don't know if a Shakur Stevenson fight is the fight they want to pursue right away. That's just my opinion. Kambosos, like I said, number 10, he's caught up with Vasyl Lomachenko from what I understand. Maxie Hughes, they may be able to sell that. They may be able to sell that because a lot of people believe he beat Kambosos in that last bout. You know what I'm saying? 12, Keyshawn Davis. Him and Shakur Stevenson are boys. I highly doubt they'll make this fight happen. But it's going to be extremely interesting as Keyshawn continues to climb up in the rankings, and if Shakur is still there. I wonder if they're going to put the friendship aside and actually fight. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to know, because they steady bigging each other up, complimenting each other. They brothers. They grew up together, all types of stuff. Now, when they're both on the when Keyshawn eventually gets to that world title level and starts actually being in contention for a world title, and he happens to be Shakur's mandatory, I wonder how they're gonna go about that. Are they gonna set their friendship aside and actually fight each other, or is Keyshawn gonna look in a different direction? That's gonna be an interesting story. Number 13, Denis Berinchyk. I'm not exactly sure who that is at all. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna lie to you. And then number 14, Zaire Abdulev. I wouldn't actually be surprised if either one of these guys got a shot, in all honesty, bro. I really wouldn't. But I don't know their situation. I don't know these guys as fighters at all. If anybody knows a number 13 and 14 guy on this list, please let me know, because right now I'm unsure. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's pretty much the whole rankings. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I really doubt Shakur Stevenson will get a big money fight next. I don't see him fighting anybody I don't see him fighting a Gervonta Davis or a Devin Haney next. Devin Haney's caught up at 140 right now. I doubt he's going to come down. And we don't know exactly what's going on with Gervonta, but there's been heavy rumors that he may rematch Isaac Cruz. So I might have to take off Isaac Cruz as a possible opponent for Shakur Stevenson as well. So it's going to be some slim pickings for Shakur Stevenson to choose from, but on his road to redemption, man, he's gonna have to go up against a power puncher to remove the stigma that he's scared. He takes a scary approach against big punchers. You know what I'm saying? That's what I honestly think, and I don't think he's gonna be able to silence the critics until then. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna always bring up the fact that he's hesitant against big punchers, and if he doesn't face a big puncher in his next bout, they may give him credit for the victory if he were to win, but it's going to be like a cloud that's just going to be hanging over his head until he's able to silence the critics. that's just gonna be something that's gonna be brought up with Shakur. But that's my whole take on this situation, man. If you've been tuned in this long, thank you very much for watching the video, man. We about almost 15 minutes in, so thank you guys very much for tuning in. That's my opinion on the situation. What do y'all think is next for Shakur? Do you believe he'll be able to redeem himself in his next fight? Y'all let me know, man. This is Mazuma TV. Thank you for tuning in. I'm out of here, man. Peace.